And I mean, this is the fight you wanted from Jump Street since the D-Rod fight, and you posted that video that Jeff was out of the fight, and you were disappointed. But then you were able to sort of tap into this good karma, this good juju with this whole, you know what? I might just get the name that I wanted in the first place. Where does that belief for you come from, that things are just going to come up Ian, Machado, Garry in these situations?
You've just got to operate in full faith, do you, and let the world work itself around you. At the end of the day, all I have to do is show up. It doesn't matter who is in that octagon against me or where it is. As long as I show up and do what I do best, there's no one that can beat me.
So after the win in Jacksonville, this fight with Ian Garry was something you were interested in. And while he feels he got what he wanted, you could technically say that you kind of got what you wanted too. So how did you react to getting the call to step in on short notice and fight Ian?
Man, it was great. I mean, even before I got the call, I was preparing for this fight anyway. I was initially supposed to be here just coaching this weekend for Austin Hubbard. So when the offer came through to actually fight this week, I was like, hell yeah, it's just icing on the cake for me. Because I knew the matchup was on the card. Something I've always done throughout my UFC career is always watch the upcoming fights to just kind of be ready in case one fight were to shift one way or another. So we had to jump in and take advantage of a short notice opportunity. And for this fight, I was kind of doing the same. I remember jokingly telling Austin, hey man, I know I'm going to be there for your fight on August 19th or whatever, but just in case, I'm keeping my weight low in case something happens or whatever. And sure enough, I got the call within about 7 days to take the fight, and I was stoked for it. Like, hell yeah, let's go. Let's make it happen.
Were there any other names presented to you besides Neil?
Not that I know of. I sent the list of names. I'm not going to tell you the list of names I sent, but I sent a rake of names to the guys and was like, make these happen. Make one of them happen. Neil was obviously one of them, purely on the basis of he was the guy I called out in the first place. I wouldn't be upset about the Jeff Neal fight if they had given me Neil Magny, then Jeff Neal. But I'm upset about it because they gave me Jeff Neal. Now it's gone backwards. So I was ready for 8 in the world. I was excited to beat 8 in the world. Now I'm fighting 11 in the world. I'm still excited because at the end of the day, this breaks me into the top 10.
Both these fights obviously present different challenges. Do you feel like Neil is the tougher opponent, or do you feel like Jeff was sort of the tougher one stylistically?
No, they literally, they're both irrelevant at the end of the day. The fact that I'm in that octagon is what's exciting. The truth is, they couldn't be more polar opposite. I was getting ready for a 5'10", stocky southpaw power puncher to now fighting a long, lanky, rangy, awkward, clinchy orthodox. They couldn't get more different. But when I show up on Saturday night and I absolutely manhandle and manipulate Neil Magny to do whatever I please, he's going to be in here. And I'm going to do with him as I please because I'm that good. You'll see that I actually don't need that much time to get ready for a fight.
Ian, as you probably know, has said a lot. He's done a lot in the build to not just this fight with you, but even with Jeff. He wore the mugshot T-shirt, said he's sort of carrying this card in the build to it. He's the biggest star on it. It's not technically the way you promote and sell fights, but what do you make of the way Ian has been kind of promoting and the trash talk, stuff like that? How do you feel about it?
I feel great. He's doing what he has to do to sell the card. At the end of the day, he's promoting the card. There's going to be an ass whooping that takes place on Saturday night. I'll be very happy to give him that ass whooping. So he wants to carry on and wear mug shots and do whatever else. Great. Have at it. Do all the work. Go out there. Do what you got to do. But come Saturday night, I'm going to have a time of my life when I'm beating on him. So I'm looking forward to that part.
But you got the fans talking. You confidently said something that riled some people up.
Good.
You said earlier this week, I believe that I'm carrying this 292 card on my back, and that if it wasn't for me, this card would go down the drain. What do you say to those people who think you're crazy for saying that?
Who in good fuck is waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning in Europe, or the rest of the world for that matter, to watch Aljamain Sterling and Sean O'Malley? They're waiting up for me. I can promise you that. They're waking up for me. They're staying there. They're tuning in for me because I'm a superstar in Europe. I've got an Irish nation behind me and a Brazilian nation behind me now, and I'm excited to go out there and show that I am a superstar.
He respects that you have such longevity in the sport, that you've had 30 or so UFC fights, but he feels like this is not going to be a competitive fight at all. He's going to manipulate you. He put the palm out in the air instead of you just going to kind of walk into it, and he's going to do whatever he tells you to do, essentially. Your response to that and where your confidence is at stylistically with Ian?
I feel great. I mean, honestly, over the years, I've done this literally dozens of times. I mean, this is not my first rodeo fighting a guy who's undefeated, a younger opponent, whatever else you can name it. I've been there, done that kind of thing. So he should have all the confidence in the world. He should feel like he's come in there and have a great night. It's up to me to go out there and like literally show him like, no, you made a huge mistake. Got a lot of growing to do. Put a beating on him. I mean, there's like. There's almost like different levels to assholes that come out. There's the whooping that you give somebody in high school, like or in grade school. So when he tough on my mom, and you put the beat him on there, and there's a whooping that you give your son now, like to kind of teach him life a little bit. And being a father, I've become quite accustomed to that kind of whooping now, and that's kind of whooping I'm looking forward to giving on Saturday. I mean, I know he's out there, he's very cocky, he's feeling himself, everything else like that. But every once in a while, his dad, you got to step in like, hey, settle down, son. I got this. You got some growing to do. I'm looking forward to go out there doing just that.
You mentioned the rankings earlier, and I know you're a guy that's likes to visualize things. I mean, from the time that you announced your UFC signing, you declared you're going to be a champion one day, stuff like that. So how many fights away do you feel like you are right now from getting a title shot in your mind? Four. I told everyone I have a 6-fight plan. This is another fight. This gives me 15 and 11 in the world. This breaks me into the top 10 now. Then there's a lot of amazing fights in the top 10. But I don't want to be one of these guys that are rushed up the rankings, rushed up to a title shot. We've seen it far too many times. People go, yeah, I'll do it. And then they end up going on this skid and their career gets a bit wavy. The truth is, I'm young. I'm 25 years of age. I have no need to rush. I know how good I am. I know how good I will be in 2 more years. So why not take those 2 more years? If I told you right now, let me just pull 4 names out of the top 10. I fought Jeff Neal, Wonderboy, Usman, and Kobe Covington in the next 2 years and then got a title shot. Would anyone be disappointed by those 4 opponents? No. There's an insane amount of matchups in the top 10 that I can learn, grow, and evolve and showcase to the fans, to the UFC as an organization, and to myself how good I am. And I'm excited by that. So I don't want to jump the ladder. I don't want to skip anything. I want to do it my way, the right way.
I want to ask you about this because we talked about how much of a veteran you are in the UFC, and last month we found out that Michel Pereira missed weight in preparation for his fight with Stephen Thompson, and Stephen made the choice to just not fight him because he had been through that before with Darren Till, and he lost a close split decision, didn't really want to do that again at this point in his career. What did you think about that, about Stephen just saying, nah, thanks, but no thanks?
I mean, you're talking to a guy who tried to fight Daniel Cormier on a week's notice, so for me to turn down a fight for 3 pounds, just something that's not going to happen. But at the end of the day, to each his own. Every man is different. If he felt like it wasn't the right decision for him to make at this point in his career for his own longevity, his own whatever, more power to him. But it's just one of those things that it's very difficult where, and it's at the end of the day, I want to be a fighter's fighter. You know what I mean? If a fighter makes a choice that's best for him, I want to be able to support that decision no matter what, especially when it comes to how you view it in the public and that kind of thing. So if he made a decision to not fight because he felt that it would be something that was going to work against him because of the weight discrepancy, whatever else it may be, I wouldn't be able to support that. But as a fighter myself, it's a very hard decision for me to see myself making where I would turn down a fight because of 3 pounds.
And Neil was the guy that you wanted next, as Mike referenced. So I guess why? Why is he the next right step?
Someone said to me earlier on today, and I think this is nuts, Neil Magny's been fighting professionally since I was 12. That's insane. He's been ranked since before I was an amateur. So now I'm stepping up against a guy who's been in there with some of the best, who's beaten some of the best, lost to some of the best, but has faced that competition. He's coming into that octagon. He doesn't care who I am or what I'm doing. He's faced so many guys that he is in here and he is trying to implement his game plan and do what he does best. It is my job to prove that I'm far too good for him to have any success in this octagon.
Obviously, we weren't expecting to speak with you, a week ago, but that's what you do. You're a true BMF. You're always stepping up, taking fights on a week's notice. Are you ever not ready to take a fight on short notice?
I mean, honestly, the question would be, am I ever actually ready for a fight? I know this fight came together on a week's notice, but in reality, based off everything else that took place in my life over the last 7 months or so, I feel like I'm better prepared for this fight than I was my last 2 fights earlier this year. Life itself has taken a toll on me over the last couple months, and I feel like now I'm finally in a place of clarity where I'm able to go out and actually focus on the fight itself and not feel like I have all this baggage and everything else weighing on my shoulders going into the fight. Right now, was like, literally the only job I have is to go out there, corner Austin Hubbard, turn right back around, go out there and have a great fight of my own. And having those only two things to worry about going into a fight, I feel like that's going to allow me to have one of the best performances ever, especially after the last 7 months for me. I mean, this is a great opportunity, a great lineup, a great matchup. Everything is lined for this fight. We can go out there and do great.
Obviously, you were scheduled against Jeff Neal. It got changed to Neil Magny. You talked about how different styles they are. Which one's a tougher style?
Both guys possess different threats in there when you think of them as opponents, but the truth is, it doesn't matter to me. I don't focus on my opponent. I focus on myself. When I'm watching an opponent, I don't see what he's good at. I see what I can do. I look at it from a point of view of purely success. What can I do to have the most success against this guy? What holds can I see? And I seen a lot of holds in both guys. So I'm just going to take advantage of whoever I'm fighting and go in there and just showcase the stuff that I've found and break them down. I believe this one's going to be more pace. I believe this one's going to be output. Neil's good. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not underestimating Neil. I know what he's done. I know who he's been in the UFC for 30 fights. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. He goes in and wins fights that he shouldn't necessarily win because he fights his way. However, my intelligence is far too high for him to be able to do what he does to other people, to me. And I believe this one is going to be a high output, brutal finish that might be 30, 40 punches long. I'm going to swing at him. He's going to miss. I'm going to hit him again. He's going to miss. And I'm just going to tactically, just surgically dismantle him.
So when he was here, obviously he has a very big personality. He was a little meaner than they've kind of hinted at. He called you irrelevant. What's your response to that?
I mean, to his own, say what you want to say, but Saturday night, I'm going to literally, I won't even say beat, I'm going to spank that ass. It's literally look like a dad taking to his son. That's what it's going to look like. And like, it kind of excites me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things like, everyone's only as good as the last fight. My last fight was split decision win. So I'm sure some people sit back and look at it like, oh, like that fight wasn't the greatest. The fight was this, the fight was that. But at the end of the day, like I know what I was going through during that time through that fight, and I know how much that fight meant to me. I know where I'm at mentally now and what I'm capable of. And Saturday night is going to be almost hysterical watching him cry. Like it's gonna be that fun for me. Like it's gonna be a great opportunity.